Michael provides customized personal small class fitness training, and appreciate very much his willingness to come and speak tonight.
Excellent. So good to be here tonight amongst all these people on this list. Now, I looked at this list here, and there's a lot of doctors on this list, a lot of MDs, AUHs, MPHs. I don't know what that means, but it sounds very distinguished. So I'm so glad to be amongst those individuals. And when Mike contacted me back in December, he said, hey, we would like to have a different perspective in this lecture series. So obviously, as being a personal trainer, our job is also to help you in fitness and help you live a better life, just like doctors, just like people in that profession, except for we work on the outside of the body, not in the inside body, right? And so obviously, as a personal trainer, my experience over the years has helped me develop routines to help people like yourself. Most of my clients are at an age where it's important that we work on certain things other than other things, all right? And so what are we here today for, all right? I know it may say personal health training, but we are really here to help you find a trainer like myself, someone who is experienced, someone who has the know-how to train people like yourself, all right? And also who has the patience and realizes that we don't want to do anything that's going to injure you and hurt you. We want to have you work out and be able to do things successfully as you live your life. So important, all right? And so to give you an idea of who I am, obviously, my name is Michael Flanagan, born and raised here in Fairbanks, Alaska. My folks came up in 1966 or so from Louisiana. I was born in 72, so yes, I may look a little young, but I am 53 years old. Thank you very much. And, I love this town. I love Fairbanks. I went to all the schools, the elementary schools, the high schools. I developed a passion for fitness through all my, wrestling and playing football with Reggie Tongue, even though I did not make it to the NFL. That's all right. It doesn't matter. I wasn't going to make it either. I'm only like 5'8". Never mind. But it was so blessed to be able to live in a community of individuals who want to be in better shape. People here are active. I love that. And so my passion for training folks like yourself and others, I tell you, it's why I live. It's what I do. And so we're going to go over everything you're going to need to know on how to find a trainer like myself. Right? Someone, again, who is going to take you from point A to point Z without injuring you, right? Someone who you should expect to treat you a certain way while you're in the gym, right? They should have a program, a progressive program designed for you, right? And they should make it easier for you when you come into the gym to be able to just do what you need to do, all right? And I think I left here it is. I do have this. I'm not used to the pinpoint. This is PowerPoint. It's a whole nother thing, all right? And so let's give you a background about who I am. Again, for some of you may actually recognize my voice because I was on radio for about 20 years, Magic FM. I did the jazz show. Anyone? Jazz? Anyone? Okay, who cares about that? And so you'll notice that my fitness career parallels my radio career. Same time is going on. My background started at a place called American Fitness. American Fitness was a small little gym down at the Regency Court Mall, right? And it really gave me a chance to develop my skills as far as working with clients. But basically all I did was just spot individuals. Spotting people means that you just make sure you don't drop the weight on their face, right? And making sure they have good technique, make sure they have good form, and making sure that they're doing things that, again, aren't going to injure them. And I was at that gym for maybe about a year or so. And the good thing that I learned from them is, again, how to work with clients in a safe fashion. And also I was able to learn how gyms work, how to open and close gyms, working with those type of things. And it kind of helped me aspire to open up my own gym, which I have now, of course. And so American Fitness was great, a great startup. Dave McClure was the owner at the time. And again, he allowed me to really put my foot into the door. Unfortunately, as most of businesses do sometimes, they ended up having to close. And so I'm freelancing now. I don't know where to go, but fortunately, I still have my radio station. And so fortunately, I was able to move to a place called the Knowledge Center. Now, the Knowledge Center was a little bit more upbeat, a little bit more posh. They had a group of trainers there already established. They had some expertise as far as the trainers there, so they were able to help me. And not to mention they had brand new equipment, Knowledge equipment, state of the art. I was able to go there. And that's when I really honed in on how to become a personal trainer. Bob was the owner at the time, and he really taught me how to design routines, how to work with individuals. We learned how to circumference measurements and body fat and blood pressure, all that type of stuff. And it was really beneficial for me to work with the individuals, especially the trainers at the time, because they taught me so much. right? They taught me how to work with designing programs for clients, making sure we, again, keep things safe. I'm always going to talk about not injuring our clients, because any injury can also put you out. Consistency, we'll talk about that. But again, it was so good to have that background and be able to use that as a nice little stepping stone from the rest of my career. Now, I will say, after about having 15 clients or so, being there for about a year and a half, they too closed. That's just how it happens sometimes in the industry. So again, now I'm freelancing. I went ahead and decided to take a full-time job in the radio station, which was great, on the radio doing that. But at the same time, I was able to take my few clients that I was able to keep to go to a place called Jungle Gyms. You know who Jungle Gyms is, right? And so Jungle Gyms, the owner, Mike Groves, allowed me to rent out space in his gym. I took about 3 of my clients there, one including was your mom, right? Who was, and now I trained her 20 years later. But long story short, being at that gym was a great way for me to, again, work a little more freelance, work a little bit more on the one-on-one training and developing my own, programs for clients. But again, I had nowhere to go. Fortunately, during that time, I was also offered to be able to teach a class here at the university as an adjunct instructor. And I was teaching fitness, multi-fitness conditioning, weight training fitness. And it, again, gave me a good chance to work with all different types of individuals, from young to non-traditional students who were just there to get in better shape, athletes, people who were not athletes. It was a great time for just building that experience up. That experience, along with being able to just train so many different individuals in a different environment, different gym, again, is what adds to my experience overall. And so during that time, training clients, having a good time, a little bit, got out of that, was teaching class, right? Then I had the aspiration to open up my own gym. I was probably about 30 years old. I finally had my parents loan me the money to open up my gym. And here comes a radio station. Fortunately, the boss at my radio station allowed me to open up a gym in the bottom of the radio station, little 300, 400 square foot place where I could just train my clients personally. No gym dues, no initiation fee, no contracts, just me and the trainer. You pay the trainer. When you're ready to go, you go. We did 30-minute sessions, so you're in and out. And it was a great way for me to build up my collection of clients. At the moment, I probably have about 35, 40 clients. My wife now, who is also involved, has about 20 to 30 clients. And since then, we have now moved into a new location on Davis Road. 40 Below Fitness is where we're at. If you ever drove them past, that's who we are. We say 40 Below Fitness because when it's 40 below, we're still gonna show up because we live upstairs and the gym is downstairs. So we're always gonna be there on time. So 40 Below Fitness, that's who we are now. And again, all the experience I've learned from the beginning working at American Fitness until now is what I'm gonna kind of pass on to you, so that you can find someone, again, with my experience to help you go to the next level, all right? And again, it doesn't take a lot, but it does take the know-how to finding that trainer. And so I'm gonna give you all the steps to do that, all right? So first things first, as I do that PowerPoint, let's get back to what the first thing we need to do. You need to find someone who is used to working with someone in your demographic. Someone is used to working with someone like you. In the very beginning of my training career, I would train people like myself, doing, ballistic stuff, jumping jacks and all that type of stuff. But fortunately, my boss at the Knowledge Center, we're gonna go back a little bit to the Knowledge Center, provided me with 2 clients. And he could have provided me with clients my age, my fitness level, but he gave me 2 clients who I knew he thought would help develop me for who I am now. Because in all actuality, most of my clients are 55, 60 and up. I have clients in their 80s, late 70s, 70s, all above, all right? And so my first 2 clients, again, could have been anyone, but he introduced me to 2 individuals by the last name of Bajo, the Bajos, all right? And they were 2 individuals who were in their late 70s, early 80s, all right? So now I'm 22, 23 years old, being entrusted with these 2 individuals, right? That if I do anything to them, they can be injured, and any injury is bad because it's going to be a setback for them, all right? And again, these 2 individuals came in, they didn't have as much strength as they would like, right? They didn't have as good balance. They shuffled their feet as they walked, right? Standing on one leg, you could tell they had some problems with that. And so It was fun to be able to work with them because had I worked with some other individuals, it would have been a lot easier for me to design a routine. We're just going to do the same things I do, right? But finding someone, having my boss give me two individuals who I had to make a concerted effort to design a routine that again is going to take them from point A to point Z without any injury, without any setback. It helped develop me to who I am today. Because again, most of my clients require that type of attention. All right. And so again, the first thing you want to do is find someone who is used to working in your demographic, meaning that if you happen to find someone who is a young person, all right, that's fine. But hopefully in their background, they have some type of certification that shows that they're working with someone like yourself. All right. And keep in mind, there's lots of different trainers out there. You have people who are really good at training bodybuilders. You have people who are really good at training those who are athletes. You know, I myself, I'm a fitness trainer. I train just general fitness. When people come to me for bodybuilding, I send them somewhere else because I don't do bodybuilding. You know, can I get you ready to go to someone to get you for bodybuilding? Sure. Can I get you ready to go to someone to help you with your sport? Absolutely. But my job is general fitness. All right. And so again, when you find a trainer, you want to find someone again who works with what you're looking for. All right. Because if not, that's when injuries occur. All right. For instance, I have lots of clients who have friends who are with other trainers. And when they get injured, they kind of mention how it happens. A lot of times it's doing exercises and routines that maybe they shouldn't be doing. Lots of great exercise you can do from, you know, let's say a barbell squat where you put the bar and you do that type of thing, you know, but any type of movement, bad movement, if you don't have the proper technique can cause injury, right? Especially with two individuals who don't even have a good enough balance. Why would we do that to them, right? Also, doing like a deadlift. Deadlifts are great, but deadlifts, again, require some technique and some know-how. Doesn't make any sense for me to take these two individuals and do that type of stuff just because I was doing it. My job for them was, just like for anyone, build the strength, build endurance, right? Build stamina, but really specifically for them, we need to build balance. We need to give them the ability to pick their feet up, right? Because any tripping, any falling at that age is detrimental. We can't have it. So as a trainer, it's up to us to train these specific things. You know, when I have them doing a balance routine and they have that one foot up and that leg starts to shake, that's what we want. We want those little micro muscles to be worked so that when they're doing their daily activities, it's easier, all right? And so after about a good 6 months, year working with these two individuals, the amount of success I saw from them was astounding because of their consistency and because of the routine that we designed for them didn't allow for them to get injured. Injuries happen, you know, but the trainer should not be injuring you with routines that aren't specific to who you are, all right? So again, the number one thing you want to do is find someone who is used to working in your demographic. It's going to save you time, it's going to save you money, and it's going to save you from getting injured, all right? So important. So now let's move on to the next category. Let's say you found that trainer, all right? You know who he is, he or she, all right? You look them up. They look like they have great credentials. They look like they're ready to help who you are. What should you expect next? Well, when you go into a consultation to meet your trainer, right, for the first time, by the time you leave out of there, hopefully you have a plan, right? Your trainer has produced a plan for you, right? If you go into a trainer and, you know, okay, what are we doing? You know, well, you're going to give me your money. I'm going to get you in great shape. I'm going to take it from point A to point Z. Well, how are we going to get there? Well, we're just going to work out. We're going to lift weights, and that's great. But what is the plan? So I'm going to give you what I would do with my clients. When I have a client come in or a consultation come in, a new client, this is what I'm going to give you. And hopefully my plan will give you a semblance of what you should expect. And by the way, all trainers have different type of plans. There's a lot of great trainers here in town. They may do things a little different than I do, but a plan has to be in place because without a plan, there's no consistency with your clients. The adherence to the routine goes because there's no plan. Where are we going? We're just flailing, right? And so you want to have a plan. You want to have a trainer who has a plan. So let's go over what I call my plan. With my trainer, with my 40 Below Fitness, we do what we call a 3-stage approach, all right? Now, other gyms may have different ways of doing it, but we do 3 stages. We build the base, we build lean muscle, lean body mass. And by the way, we build that because I don't have any clients in their late 70s or 80s who say they have too much muscle. Nobody, all right? And so we build that lean mass, right? And in that 3rd stage, we lose fat and we work on our cardio or our VO2 max. What is the VO2 max? I'm not a doctor. You may want to look it up, but your VO2 max is the maximum amount of oxygen you can get to your muscles for exercise, for activity. So a person with a low VO2 max has a hard time getting up and down stairs without breathing heavy, has a hard time getting up and down off a chair. We want to work that type of stuff in that third phase, in that third stage, along with eating correctly in order to bring down the visceral fat. That visceral fat, the fat that's in the belly, over the organs, the yellow stuff, we want to get rid of that, along with working your cardio and your respiratory system. That all goes in with stage 3. So again, build the base, build lean muscle, lose fat, work on VO2 max, cardio, right? Very simple. Now, as a trainer, with the consultation, if I just left it at that, maybe that would be good. Maybe you'd be like, oh, okay, here's my money. But what are we doing in these stages? You want to have a trainer who knows why we're in the stages. What stages? Okay, stage 1, stage 2, what are we doing? So let's go over them, all right? Stage 1 is all about building the base. When I talk about building the base, that means we're going to do exercise and the routines that's going to get you ready for the next stage, all right? Because we have to be ready for the next stage before we go there, all right? When we do first stage, we're going to do a lot of light reps. Light weights, high reps. Meaning that by the time we get to the 20, 25 reps, we're about done. All right. I'm going to design a routine so where some days we're going to do circuit training routine where we may go through exercise with little or no rest in between with weights. Some days we may work on balance. Some days we may work on a little cardio. We may mix it up together. Some days we'll work on, again, being able to pick your feet up, bring it out a ladder and having you go through ladder exercises in order to pick your feet up, those type of things. All these things in stage 1 is going to help develop you for stage 2 to get you ready. And not only are we developing your muscles, strengthening them, but also your bones, your ligaments, your joints, we're getting them ready as well for what we have in stage 2. And also keep in mind in stage 1 is a good time for my clients to get used to me as a trainer, right? For me to get used to them as my client, to design the routine around them. Let's say you come in, all right, and we're doing a leg press, and you say, well, that makes my knee uncomfortable. Well, it's up to me to redesign the routine. Right? It's up to me to mark that down so we know that doesn't work for you. Let's move on and find something else that works for you, all right? And once I get a good idea of what works and doesn't work, I'm able to really design a routine specifically for you. You don't want to have a trainer who has cookie cutter routines and cookie cutter, programs. Every person is different. So again, once I get an idea what works for you, what doesn't work for you, that's part of stage 1. Building that base, getting you ready for stage 2. Also in stage 1, keep in mind, I'm going to help you prepare yourself to when we get to stage 3, helping you we'll start talking about what to eat or what not to eat, or when you should start thinking about, adding in your cardio and start getting you ready for that, And so stage 1, again, we're building the base, light weights, high reps, muscle confusion, hitting it from different angles, that type of stuff. Some days we'll core, some days a little boxing, all sorts. It's fun, all right? Stage 2 is all about building lean muscle. And as I mentioned, you can never have too much muscle as we get older. It diminishes as we age. And so it's my job as a trainer to help you build or maintain that type of muscle. That's why we do a stage 2. Stage 2 is different from stage 1 because now, as opposed to doing high reps, light weights, now we're going to do heavier weights and medium amount of reps. So by the time we get to like 12 to 15 reps, we're done. All right. And I'm going to design a routine so that we're working each muscle part enough times in order to break down the muscles. We're going to work mostly our big muscles, our chest, back, our legs, quads, hamstrings, our calves. We're going to work the core, but we're going to work them in a fashion so that when we're done with that workout, we make little micro tears in your muscles, right? So when you eat and you sleep at night, you repair yourself. It takes time. I mean, there's millions of young men out there in the gym trying to build muscle as we speak. It's not the easiest thing to do, but consistency is what matters. And that's why having a plan that is consistent is what's going to help you, build that extra strength, build that extra muscle. And keeping in mind, we're not also building muscle, but we're also trying to build a little bone density. And again, continue to build up the strength in your your ligaments and your joints. All these things are so important, especially when it comes to balance and being able to stay on your feet and move around properly. All right. So again, stage 1, we're building the base. Stage 1, we're building lean muscle, right, to get you stronger. And also keep in mind in stage 2, we'll also continue to get you ready for stage 3. We're starting to talk about a little bit more about what we're going to do in stage 3 as far as your cardio, what we're going to do as far as your eating, And by the time you get to stage 3, you're going to be ready. All right. Because also keep in mind, by us switching up these type of things, your body is having to readapt to those stresses. So we went from doing light weights, right? High reps, circuit training, all the muscle confusion. Now we're doing stage 2, which is heavier and a little bit more specific to building muscle. Your body has to readapt. Your body is saying, hey, what the heck is going on? We were doing this, now we're doing this. So when we go to stage 3, imagine you're going to have to readapt again. That's how progress is made, with a plan. So let's talk about stage 3. Stage 3 is basically a semblance of stage 1, to where we're doing a lot of the same exercise, a lot of the same routines that we did in stage 1, but now we're doing a little bit more of a cardio focus. So I may have them start with some type of cardio, then we'll do the routine. Or we may start the routine and we'll do a little cardio in between. We'll take a little bit more time to get the heart rate up a little bit, depending on the person, so that we can, add a little bit more of a cardio component to it. All right. But again, most of the routine is going to be the same as stage 1, where again, the muscle confusion, doing a lot of circuit training, doing supersets, quad sets. Again, this may be going over your head, but that's fine. At least there's a plan, right? That's the main thing. But again, with stage 3, now you're ready. Now you've been through stage 1, you know all the exercises, you've been through stage 2, you're confident with your strength. Now stage 3, we're going to put it all together, all right? We're going to have you start increasing your cardio, hopefully to about 2 to 3 times, 3 to 4 times a week if possible, maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes if so, depending on the client, right? And when you're doing the cardio, we want you to walk briskly, not as if you're, trying to, walk through the store. You want to act as if you're missing your plane or you're trying to hail a cab. Walk with a little authority, all right? It's going to be good for your body, all right? And so stage 3, building the endurance again, as opposed to trying to build muscle. Now we're going back to building endurance, building stamina, high weights, light weights, high reps, light weights. And again, now your body has to readapt to the stresses that we apply to it. That's how change happens, all right? And then when we're done with stage 3, we reassess. We decide if we need to go back to stage 2, maybe we need to go back to stage 1. But keep in mind, stage 1 is more of a maintenance stage when we're not adding the cardio component. All right. And so a lot of times I'll put my client back in stage 1 because we can maintain everything in there. And again, if it's going over your head, that's why I'm the trainer. I'm going to help you through all this, But that stage 1 is great for maintaining the muscle. And then we'll reassess if we need to go back to the other stuff. All right. So again, first stage, build the base. Second stage, we build lean muscle. Third stage, we lose fat, work on our VO2 max, that type of stuff. All right. And by the way, that's fine. I didn't even get to the eating part. Of course, that's the hardest part with most of my clients is the eating, is getting them just to track their calories and know what calories are coming in. So hopefully by the time we get to stage 3, I've convinced them to do that. Is it hard? I see some clients out there. It's hard to do that, but they do the best they can. All right. And so again, after we're done with that and we reassess, then we decide where we're going to go from there. But again, at least there's a plan in place. All right. And so if after you meet with your trainer for the first time and he doesn't have a plan that is similar to this or some type of structure, you may want to ask him if there's a plan. Or maybe he's going to give you the plan on the first day of the workout. Who knows? But there should be some structured plan. And again, the main reason why we want to have a plan is because it's going to keep you consistent and adherent to the routine. Without a plan, we're left flailing, trying to figure out where we're at. And also during the whole thing, you want to be able to ask your trainer, what are we doing? What are we in? And your trainer should be able to say, we are in this stage. We are doing this for this. There should be a plan. All right. So again, first thing you do, you find someone who is used to working in your demographic. Once you find that person, you make sure they have a plan of attack for you. And if they don't, hopefully they'll figure it out at some point in time. All right. Very good. Let's move on to the next subject. So now that you have a trainer who has a plan, what should you expect from your trainer, right? Just in a general sense, what should you expect from your trainer? Well, and by the way, it says, what do you expect? But there's also the do's and don'ts and the tricks and the tips, all that type of stuff. I just didn't want to put that on there. But long story short, let's start with, first off, I kind of should have told you about this before, but one of the big tips that you want to think about is you want to find a trainer who has an established, who works in an established facility. All right. When I was a freelancer and I was training individuals, let's say at, on post, where I would just go in there and I'd pay to get in, my client would pay to get in, and we both meet there and train. That doesn't usually work out too well. Or if you happen to hire someone and they say, hey, can you meet me at Planet Fitness, right? Well, again, most of the time they're going to have to they're going to have to sign the Planet Fitness. You sign the Planet Fitness, and now they're training you discreetly, secretly, looking over their back. Also, being an establishment like these, there's a public gym. Now, I will say my gym is a private gym, so we do one-on-one training. And my wife is in one room, I'm in another room. It's one-on-one, one-on-two. There's no other people. But when you're in a public facility, especially with someone who is a freelancer, nothing wrong with that to a certain extent. You're going to get what you're paid for because they're going to be, again, worried about getting caught. And so they're not going to be able to put the focus in on you. So again, you want to find someone who is at an established location. And I can tell you right now, there's lots of trainers here in town. If you want to go out to R&N Fitness out in North Pole, they have some great trainers out there who are established. They've been there for years. F&H Fitness over by Planet Fitness in the little annex there. Great group of ladies over there, Tina and Alicia. The trainers, they've been there. They're not going anywhere. So you can give them their money and know that they're not going anywhere. I always tell my clients, I'm going to be trained until I'm 70 years old, 80 years old. I ain't going nowhere. I live upstairs. I'm an indoor person. I am not a big traveler. I won't be here. So there's going to be a plan. I ain't going nowhere. Makes it a lot easier for you, the client, to be able to, again, enmesh yourself into your fitness lifestyle because it's not going to be just pulled out from under you at some point in time. All right. So again, finding someone at an established location is one of my key tips for you. So now, again, once you have that person, what should you expect from your trainer? Well, you should obviously expect for your trainer to be on time, prompt, right? I do 30-minute sessions with my clients, which means that if I'm 4 minutes late every time, that's a problem. I'm cutting into their time. Even if it's an hour session, if I'm 4 or 5 minutes late all the time, I'm cutting into their time. Now, if my client's late, that's fine. It's their time. I tell when they come in, oh, I'm sorry, I'm late. I say, you don't have to be sorry. This is your time, But me being late is inexcusable, especially over and over again, because, I can do a lot in 3 minutes. I mean, my clients know I can if I have 3 minutes left, we can do a lot in 3 minutes. And so being prompt should be one of your number one goals for a trainer. They should be on time, prompt. Not to mention, you should have a trainer who is consistent, right? Consistent meaning that they're not going to cancel on you every other week. If your client wants to cancel on you, that's one thing. But if every week I'm saying, okay, I'm going on vacation, or I'm sick, or my dog ate my homework, or whatever the case is, that is again going to cut from your consistency, from your adherence. Okay, and again, it happens a lot when you have young trainers who don't have a lot of clientele. And so their main job may be outside of the gym. So it's harder for them to put their focus on you because you're not paying, their bills, so to speak, But again, you want to have someone who is going to be consistent and not cancel because they got to go to another job or cancel on you for any other reason, because again, that's going to break your consistency. So you want to have someone, again, who's prompt and consistent with your time. So important. That's obvious though, right? Also, you want to have a client who is going to cater to you to a certain extent, all right? Meaning that they're going to have the weights set up for you, right? Now, I will have my clients grab the dumbbells because I want them to be able to feel the dumbbells they want to use sometimes. But a lot of times I'm going to set up the weights, I'm going to put the weights on there. I'm going to make sure everything is cleaned up. I'm going to make sure everything is set up. So when my clients get there, they can just concentrate on working out, concentrate on their fitness. They shouldn't be helping me put on weights. They shouldn't be helping me put back weights in certain instances. If I put down the mat for them, they shouldn't be picking up the mat and cleaning up. That's my job. Now, when they do it, I appreciate it, but it's not necessary. That's our job. I had 2 clients today. It was hot. Put the fan on them. Make sure they're cool. Those type of things. If I feel like they're about to pass out, give them some water. Cater to you. You want a trainer who is doing that for you. You're paying them enough money. Right. And again, it's a lot harder when you have trainers who are, again, freelancing, because if you're in Planet Fitness, as opposed to someone else's facility, their own facility, it's harder for them to cater to you in that way. If you're hot, they can't grab a fan and put it on you. They can't grab you water from the fountain, So again, these are reasons why, as trainers, you should expect your trainer, right? As clients, you should expect your trainer to, again, cater to you in those fashions. All right. Also, have a positive attitude as a trainer. You should expect that. All right. It's nothing worse than having a trainer. And I've worked with trainers like this who are woe is me trainers. They come in and, my girlfriend broke up with me. My boyfriend broke up with me. This is going on in my life, and we're supposed to be here for positivity, but we're listening to your drama. That's a no-no. You shouldn't expect that. Your trainer should come in with positivity, talking about how beautiful the day is, even if it's raining. When it's raining, I say it's a great day for a workout. And they're like, that's all right. I'm still supposed to be positive. I don't even woe is me. I'm supposed to be, that's all right. And so the trainer should be positive, and should train you with positivity. I know there's a lot of trainers who you probably have seen in the past who kind of train with a little bit more of a militant, they rah, do that, it's not necessary. Let the weights and let the routine speak for themselves. It's so easy. I can have a person sit on the ground, lean back and hold in one place and don't have to say anything and it's going to burn. I don't have to yell at them. It's going to work, And so again, you want to have a trainer who is going to maintain, again, a positive attitude, not going to bring you down. And also a trainer who is going to listen to you, right? And not talk all the time. I talk, but I try to listen more than I talk. My clients aren't, again, there to hear about my Pittsburgh Steelers every day, and this and that. You're a Patriots fan and you guys always beat us, but that's a whole other thing. But again, they're not here to hear that all the time. Now, of course, when I have establishments with clients. In fact, I have clients. Most of my clients I've trained for years. My shortest amount of client is probably a year. Most of my clients I've trained 5 years, 10 years. So I have some clients I've trained 20 years now, And so the idea is that, get back to what I was talking about, the positivity about it. They wouldn't stick around if I'm not positive. They wouldn't be coming if I was a bump on the log all the time they came in. It takes away from their workout. So again, you want someone who is positive, who's going to, make the routine fun and make your life fun and not bring you down. It's so important. All right. Also, you want, when it comes to like individual, actually, so let me go back to one more thing. All right. Also, being a listener, again, I train lots of individuals. I train, lawyers and doctors and this and that, but I also train therapists, right? And even with my therapist, it's important for me to listen. Now, I don't give her therapist advice because I'm not a therapist, but even my therapists know they can talk to me about their problems. They can talk to me about their issues. It makes their workout more enjoyable because they know I'm there for them. Now, if it's the other way around, and I'm always, again, this is what's happening to me, and I'm using my therapist as my client, so that's, again, not what you want to do. So again, positivity from your trainer is a must. Also, when it comes down to individual program design, kind of going back to that, you don't want a trainer, do's and don'ts, you don't want a trainer who has routines set in stone, all right? As a young trainer, a lot of times trainers will pre-do their routine. So they'll be at home at night and they'll write out their routine for their trainer or for their client. And when they get to the client and they're ready to work them, and the client says, well, I have this problem going on, or I have this problem. Now they're like, all right, what am I supposed to do? All right, well, thanks. Now you're sure, that's the wrong attitude from your trainer. You shouldn't have a routine set in stone. First thing I do when a client comes in, ask them how they're doing. How's everything feeling? That's my assessment for the day. And if they say, okay, I have a knee problem, I'm gonna point you two out because they're my two clients, all right? And Gina's my client too, by the way. But long story short, those two individuals, one person can't work his upper body and one person can't work her legs. So again, you have to be able to design routines that aren't set in stone because you never know what you're gonna get. And so that comes from experience, obviously, from your trainer. So if you go into your trainer and say, hey, I have an ailment, and your trainer gives you a little pushback, that should be wrong. That's bad. And also, I take requests from my clients. I love when a client says, hey, today can we work this? Today can we not work this? That makes it easy for me to design a routine, right? And so again, when it comes down to it, you want a trainer who is not going to have things just set in stone where you can't change. Everything should be pliable, should be able to move around. That's how it should be as a trainer, all right? Also, you want to hold your clients accountable, especially once we get to stage 3. Us trainers, we don't want to, browbeat you. We don't want to nag you, but it is our job to kind of make sure you're staying on the right track, especially again, when we get to stage 3 and it's time to implement the cardio and the eating part of it. That's when, the trainer saying, hey, what did you eat today? I had an apple pie. Why'd you do that? Well, all right, well, get on that treadmill, in a joking way. But again, it's holding them accountable so they know we're in the game. I only get to see them an hour a week. If I train a client twice a week, 30-minute sessions, that's only 1 hour, 1 hour. So they have the whole rest of their to do their thing, all right? And so when they get back, it's up to me to hold them accountable for the things that maybe they didn't do or did right, And when they do the good things, let them know, that's awesome. That's great. That's what we want. So again, a trainer who is going to hold you accountable and also, uplift you when you do the good thing is something that you should expect from your trainer, right? Makes a lot of sense. As we get closer down to you want a trainer who obviously is going to track your progress, all right? And not just track your progress by writing down how much weight you've done or how many sets or how many reps you did, but tracking your progress as far as, for instance, I have different routines I take my clients through, whether it's a balance routine, calisthenics routine, whatever the case is. And when I put them through it the first time when they come in, I'm getting an assessment then. Then when I do it again, a few weeks later, I'm assessing them then. When I do it again, we're doing it again. And so, especially when it comes to balance work, and I put a client on like a Bosu ball, where it's like a half ball and you stand on it, it's all wobbly, and we have them do some holding things. I have clients in the very beginning, they may be all over the place and having all over problems, But by the time we've done it 3 or 4 times, right, they've gotten more used to it. They feel a little more confident. Then I switch it up because we always got to make it, got to make it a little hard, right? And so they get a little more used to that because again, your body adapts to the stresses we apply to it. We talked about that. And so doing that type of stuff, tracking the progress through looking at different routines is also how we as trainers should do. All right. When I do a calisthenic routine with them, which obviously calisthenics is using your own body weight, be able to get up and down off the ground, simple stuff. I'm able to see if they're progressing because when we did the routine before, maybe it takes them longer and maybe it takes them faster now. So again, you want a trainer who is tracking your progress, not putting you on a scale every week and seeing how much you weigh, not doing measurements around, those things are important. But there's lots of other things as far as your strength development, your endurance, your balance, your stamina. Those are things that they should be watching for your progress. And again, when they see it, calling it out and letting you know, that's great because that's going to keep you adherent to it. All right. And the last thing, and this may be a little off, but the last thing you should expect from your trainer is to look good and smell good. Right? Now, they don't have to look like me with muscles. They don't have to be short or tall. They don't have to be, in good shape or not in good shape. Their experience is what matters. Working with clients, I've had trainers who again look aesthetically different than I do, but are great trainers. So it's not about that. But as I tell, I've trained lots of trainers in my past to become trainers. And what I tell a lot of them is that you want to look good and smell good, especially the fellas. Be groomed, right? Don't come in looking disheveled. Don't come in with Carhartts on and put on a wife beater and just start training. You're paying us a lot of money to look the part. I always tell my clients, you're paying me enough. I should look better than you, right? It's my job. I shouldn't be coming in again disheveled. Brush your teeth, put on deodorant, that type of stuff, because those things take away from your client being able to concentrate on them. All right. If they're, you know what it is. You're smelling someone, it's uncomfortable. It's embarrassing, So a trainer, you should expect your trainer to come in looking groomed, right? Smelling proper and being dressed appropriately, right? No flip-flops on, no haggard clothes, this is, I don't wear this during training, but when I do train, I try to look athletically professional. Even if I'm wearing a tank top, even if I'm wearing, shorts, I'm trying to, look professional, But again, look good, smell good. You should expect that from your trainer. All right. So we went through the do's and don'ts, what to expect. All right. We went through how to find a trainer as far as working in your demographic. We talked about them having a plan, right? But let's say you can't find a trainer. Let's say you looked around town, everyone's busy, no one wants to accept you at the moment. What do you do? All right. Well, a lot of stuff we're going to talk about now, you already probably know, but I'm going to reiterate it for you and put a little stamp of approval from someone that maybe you trust. All right. So first things first, there's three things that you always want to think about when it comes to your fitness routine, whether you're with a trainer or not with a trainer. Three aspects, of course, resistance training, working on your cardio, which includes, of course, your VO2 max. We talked about that. And also what you eat, what you put into your body. And whether you're someone who needs to lose weight or doesn't need to lose weight, making sure you have the proper nutrients as far as magnesium, potassium. Obviously, talk with your doc. Don't just start taking a bunch of stuff. But the idea is that you want to know what's going into your body. All right. And so let's talk about how to do the resistance part of it. All right. So when it comes to the resistance part of it, very simple. You can find yourself and just go online, type in circuit training. Right. I'm even going to make it easier for you. Go to my website, 40belowfitness.com. Go to the YouTube channel portion. And by the way, did I switch this up or switch this up? No. Sorry, you get the idea. Put that right there. All right, and so go to my website. Go to the YouTube section. I have lots of different routines, lots of different, lots of different routines on there for you to join. All right, already at your fingertips. Go on there, I have exercises 10-minute routines that work each body part. Very easy to use that. Or again, go on Google, type in circuit training, full body, and they will give you a list of exercises that you can incorporate into your resistance training routine. And again, this is all just to kind of help tide you over until you find someone. But in stage one, when we're building that base, a lot of stuff I'm telling you, you can do all of that for months and still get good success until you need to build more lean muscle. And that's probably when you need to either go to a gym, find a trainer to kind of help progress you through that. But again, this beginning part can be all done just by finding a basic routine and doing it twice a week. 30 minutes, 25, 30 minutes. And again, on my website, you can find some routines on there. I have circuit training routines. I have, each body part, you can find it on there, or, again, lots of places to find that. Then let's talk about the cardio. Again, if you're just beginning out, 2 to 3 times a week is great. Getting out there, and again, as we talked about, walking briskly, walking with a purpose, making yourself more active, hanging out with the grandkids, doing your thing, all that type of stuff is what we want. But also making a concerted effort, again, to try to build on your cardio, your respiratory, your system that keeps you moving, the VO2 max, that whole thing. Again, when you look it up and you study, I wish I can give you all the information, you'll recognize how important it is. And in fact, just to give you a nice little story, last year, I decided to do the senior games. Yeah, I'm 53, so I can do the senior games. And I did the 10K and the 5K. And I thought I did a pretty good job. I won my division. Who cares? There's other faster people in Fairbanks. They just weren't there. But I was more impressed with the amount of individuals in their 65, 70, 75 range, even some people in their 80s, who were running these 5Ks and 10Ks at a pace that really shows that their VO2 max is where it needs to be at, right? That's what we're trying to do. All right. We're trying to build that up so that you can live your life to your fullest, And so it can be developed, it can be worked on. It just takes a little time. So again, you'll have the resistance training by doing some circuit training. Go to my website, 40belowfitness.com if you need to. All right. And again, you want to work on your cardio 2 to 3 times a week, walk briskly, maybe start with 20 minutes, work your way up to maybe 45 minutes to an hour, depending on you. All right. And then of course, the last and most important thing is what you bring into your body. Now, of course, I can go through all the particulars on what to eat and what not to eat, but everyone is an individual, right? Everyone is an individual. If I say, okay, eat oatmeal, sardines, and crackers, I don't like sardines, all right? Well, you got to eat it. No, you don't. And so the idea is that when it comes to eating, just eat less, eat less. That's the main thing. Eat less carbs, eat less sugar, eat less fat. Just eat less. When you find a trainer, and they can help you kind of design a routine after that. But just by eating less, you're going to put yourself in a good standing with your fitness. All right. Because a lot of times we just eat a lot. We just eat too much. I myself, I eat a couple times a day. I don't eat a lot, but when I do eat, I try to eat healthy. But again, if you're going to eat often, then you track your calories. So you know what's coming into your body. not going to eat often, then it's probably all right. But again, resistance training, right? Doing something for your cardio, all right, which is again going to help you with your heart and your lungs and that type of stuff. And of course, what you eat. And of course, the eating part, again, for the visceral fat, my fellas, my ladies, that visceral fat sits here. We want to get rid of that stuff, because it's detrimental to us. So that's why we do the cardio. That's why we eat well. And by the way, you can do as much cardio as you want, but if you're not eating right, you won't see any results. That's why the eating is so important. All right. So again, resistance training, adding in some cardio, and of course, watching what you eat. Just eat less. That's my main thing for you. All right. And let me give you some ideas of who you can go to. Again, I mentioned R&N Fitness out in North Pole. They're a great outfit. They have some folks out there, if you're in that area, who again are experienced in helping individuals like yourself. You have, again, F&H Fitness with Tina and Alicia over by Planet Fitness. They do a great job as far as program design and helping individuals again. TaylorMade Fitness, they're a little bit new to town, but they do have trainers over there who are established and who are always ready. And of course, you got 40 Below Fitness, been around, established. We love doing what we do. I wish I could put you all on the schedule. I wish I could put you all. You probably don't want to come. I'm just saying, if you did, it would be nice, but you don't want to. But I'm just saying, I wish I had more room to put more people on my schedule because I just love doing what I do. I love getting people in shape. I love taking people from point A to point Z. I love giving them a plan. And I love seeing their progress over time. All right. I have one more story for you. I have one lady who started back when she was 61 years old, and she came in with her daughter. Now, she always tells me this story, even to this day. She says her daughter was actually working out with a friend, right? Friend dropped off. Daughter said, hey, won't you come and join me for the training? And she was like, well, what do I need a trainer for? I don't need a trainer, 20 years later, we're still training together. And she is one of my most fit clients at 81 years old. She can do all the stuff her daughters do. In fact, now the daughter, they've added another daughter who is even younger than the first daughter, and she works out with them, does most of the stuff they do. We designed a routine a little slightly different from her, but she does all the stuff that she needs to do. Her balance is great. Her stamina is great. She did the midnight sun run. She had a great time doing that. That's what I love about what I do, is getting people from point A to point Z with a plan, structured, not to injure. I don't think she's ever had an injury under me. Now, out there she may have, but in the confines of 40 Below Fitness, no injuries, right? That's what we're trying to do. As trainers, we want to take you from point A to point Z, but we want to take you there without any injury, any setbacks. Obviously, let's reiterate what we talked about. Obviously, finding a trainer who is used to working in your demographic, that's number one, all right? And hopefully you'll find a trainer who is established in a gym that is either their gym or they work out of there closely, so you don't have to worry about having the rug pulled out from on you, right? You want a trainer with a plan trainer that by the time you leave out the consultation, you know what the plan is, what we're doing, it keeps you consistent and adherent, right? On top of that, I gave you the do's, don'ts, and what to expect from the trainers. Look good, smell good. I left you with that, right? And also, hopefully we give you some idea of what you can do on your own until you find someone who can help you. All right. And again, if you go to my website, 40belowfitness.com, there's some great videos on there to help you with some of the exercise things. And obviously, if you have any questions in general that you would like, you're more than welcome to call me personally. I can always set you on the right path. All right. But speaking of questions, does anyone have any questions at all about anything? Feel free.
What should one expect to pay to go to a personal trainer?
Good question. My wife and I, we charge 40 per session. We do 30-minute sessions, which means that we have our clients come in. They usually pay 4 to 8 sessions in advance. So that locks their time down. So we know I'm going to be there, you're going to be there. And again, with us owning a private facility, we schedule on, obviously 30-minute sessions. So if your time is 12:30, you pay for that time, I'm going to be there. So at least you paid, and it just makes things a lot easier. But yeah, 40 per session. Obviously, you have some people who do hour sessions, and so they'll charge you, of course, 80 per session. I like to break it down, make it a little easier for people's pocketbooks by doing 30 minutes, and I can get a lot done in 30 minutes. I don't usually have people say, hey, can we do an hour? Yeah. Any other questions?
So it's more than just being handed like a list of exercises. Like I feel like in the past, when I've been like a member of a gym and you sign up for like a personal trainer within the gym, and they kind of show you on the machines or with the free weights, just a list of things to do. And I guess that what I'm learning from here is that that's there's a lot more to it than just being given a list of exercises.
Absolutely. As she was mentioning, so the mic can pick it up, is trainers giving routines that are just kind of cookie cutter routines to a certain extent. And, you know, there's gyms here in town, let's say Athletic Club, for instance, FAC. They have trainers on staff, but the trainers are basically there to show you the equipment. They give you the routine, they show you the equipment, and then you're on your own. And that works, again, for a lot of stage 1 type stuff. But again, it's not specific to you. And that's okay if you know your way around the gym. You may see something on that list and say, well, that doesn't work for my body. Let me just switch that out or take it out. But you're right. For those who aren't familiar with working out, having a list and just saying, go do this list, it can work. But you're right. It's better to have someone design something for you. You better believe it.
VO2 max,
Sure.
do you actually measure it or just watch somebody improve their fitness level?
Good question. You measure it by putting a mask on. In fact, and by the way, there's a lot. That's the main way you measure it. I actually went to Vegas. I think it was Arizona, Vegas one time, and I did the test itself where they put a mask on, they put you on a treadmill, and it's almost like a heart stress test in a way, but it's just done a little bit differently. They're trying to get your heart rate up, but then they're able to test your VO2 max and give you an idea where it is. I also have an Apple Watch, and your Apple Watch gives you an estimate of your VO2 max. It's not perfect because, of course, the mask is the proper way of doing it, but at least give you an idea. And so Apple Watch, some of the other ones also give you that as well, and pretty accurate.
So at 40 below,
Not at the moment. Yeah, I wish we can do a little bit more. We're thinking about that, but there actually is a place in Anchorage, DexaFit, that allows for you to do that. So if you're ever in Anchorage and you want to sign up to sweat profusely and run hard, it can be done. You bet. Any other questions? Sure.
5K time.
My 5K is 44, 48.
that's your 10K.
10K, I'm sorry, you said my 5K? Oh, yeah, 5K, 21, 52. Try to get, how about yours?
Who talking?
Yes. Oh, very good. Yeah, I definitely have prided myself to trying to be fit for my age, as you should for your age. And I would encourage anyone and everyone, as I try to encourage some of you, to join the senior games. You know, find yourself your favorite sport. There was an individual out there that did the 5K, they walked the 5K, they walked the 10K, but they were out participating. Have some clients, they were doing pickleball or doing golf or whatever. Find something that you like to do and go and do it. The senior games, it's for you. It's for me. I'm a senior. I can't believe I'm a senior, but it's for all of us. Any other questions?
Stretching, balance, and strengthening your core, is that invariably a part of what someone walks away with, or not necessarily?
Sure, because a lot of the exercises we do incorporate your core. Even if we're not working core directly, your core is being worked indirectly. I had a gentleman who was doing some lying down tricep extensions. And he was saying, I feel my core, because your core is involved in a lot of things. You know? And so, yes, by the time we're done, all the exercise that we've done is very core centric. And of course, then we also do work the core specifically as well. You know, the side bends, the low back, working the rectus abdominis and the obliques. We work that core as much as we can. And anytime we do any type of balance stuff, your core is what's keeping you from falling over, along with, of course, your legs and everything. So cores work quite a bit, you bet. It's developed naturally. Any other questions? Sure.
Well, we expect the trainer to take in helping us stay motivated. That most of us can reasons not to show up.
No ice cream. And I will say, what usually keeps people, clients adherent, is that they pay money. So when you pay your hard-earned money for a trainer and you pay for the month, you're most likely going to probably stick around. Now, I have had clients who, left and, but it's very, 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 very rare. So your money keeps you coming back. And then it's up to the trainer to, again, have a plan for you, to provide the positivity that's going to keep you coming back. And again, that's all my clients. And again, my lowest amount of clients like a year. If I sign up a client, it's like, that's why when I sign up clients, it's like, get in now because this client may not leave for a year. If you want 5 o'clock, that 5 o'clock is gone probably for the next decade, and that's because, the trainer should be able to do their job to keep you interested and motivated. And also progress. When you see progress, that also keeps you motivated. When we're going through the stage 1 and stage 2 and stage 3, and you see progress from each stage, and you realize that I'm able to do more things on the outside, right? Especially, I have people who love to garden, or they like to, go hunting, or they like to go fishing. When it's easier for them to do those things, that keeps them motivated. That keeps them coming back. I have some pickleball players out there, right? Their pickleball game has gotten better. So they enjoy working out. It's just part of it. So yeah, keep moving, keep fitness your priority. And thank you again for having me here. This was awesome. Thank you so much.